What is cracking? It is your girl, Lillian Francis. Y'all are probably familiar with Waves, the plugin company. They make a ton of amazing plugins, and I have had the great fortune of getting the chance to try out almost all of their plugins over the last couple years, and there are a couple that I keep coming back to over and over again that I use in almost every single mixing project that I do. So I want to share with you guys today my top 5 Waves plugins for mixing. So let us dive right in. Splash! So the first one I want to share with y'all today is Waves CLA2A compression plugin. This one is a classic hardware compressor turned analog, and I love it so much. This is my go-to compressor on all my vocals. One of the things that I absolutely love about this compressor is how easy it is. There are so few knobs to play around with. I don't really have to mess with the ratio or the attack or the release. This compressor is actually made specifically to sound really good on vocals, so I can just trust that the CLA2A is going to do its thing, get the right attack and release settings, and I can just sit back and fiddle the knobs I do have, which are gain and peak reduction. There are more knobs, but I never really mess with these ones down here. Right now I'm in a vocal project, and you can see here is my vocal processing chain. And I use 2 instances of the CLA2A to just get them to kind of like ease back and not crush it with any one compressor. So you can see this first compressor, I'm getting about 2 to 3 decibels of gain reduction.
What you looking for to find it? But you wish you could rewind it.
Nice and subtle. And then the second one is doing almost the exact same thing.
What you looking for to find it?
So yeah, compression made so easy. We love it. Sounds great. And I'll mention it at the end as well, but if you're interested in getting any of these plugins, there are links down below where you can go purchase them and also support my channel at the same time. Moving on to number 2, we have the S1 Imager Stereo. This does exactly what it sounds. It makes our image more stereo. And actually this does only work on sounds that are already stereo. It doesn't work on mono sounds, but I use it all over the place. And something I absolutely love to put this on is my reverbs. I love parallel processing when it comes to reverb because I want to have control over my wet signal so that I can do things like EQ and stereo widening, right? There are ways that I want to process my reverb signal differently from my dry signal. So with this widening technique, I can push out my reverb to the sides. And I like this for a couple reasons. One, because it clears out energy from the middle so that my dry vocals can shine down the center, and the other more important things than reverb can have more central focus. And also I like to push out to the sides because I think the reverb sounds really good pushed out. Like it's a very good edge to our song, to our 180-degree sphere of sound that surrounds us. Having the reverb on the outside, just like, it makes so much sense to me. So this one is also really easy to use, super simple. I mainly just mess with the width slider here. Oh, hell yeah. And if you look at it in a stereo imager too, you can see that it's like fully out to the sides. Oh yeah, that is some width. So widening on your reverb tracks, I highly, highly recommend. All right, number 3, we have Scheps Omni channel. So I will be real, y'all. This has a lot of knobs. I don't use all of them. I have used the compression before. I've done a little bit of work with the EQ here, but truly my favorite is this saturation right here because it is so subtle. It is like such a great shine to anything. A lot of the times it's hard to find a saturator that is like just enough without being overpowering, and this adds just the right amount of saturation. So I currently have this on my drum bus to pull everything together, and let's just go ahead and solo this, and I'm going to show you the different types of saturation. So we have 4 different types of saturation: odd, even, heavy, and crush, which is big heavy. And I'm just going to put this all the way to 100, and then you're going to hear what it sounds like. See, even at 100%, it's not even that intense. Speaking of even, let's try out even. Heavy. Crush. Yeah. So I love just a light amount when I know I want a little something, but I don't want to crush it. So I think on this one, I had odd, just pretty low, pretty tucked in. And that's just giving it a little bit of pop to kind of come out of the computer. Sick. All right, next we have RBass. This plugin adds so much to bass. It is oftentimes like that extra sauce that I need to get my bass to actually sound like a bass. So what it is actually a harmonic enhancer. So it creates harmonics based on the low end frequencies in your sound. And due to the harmonics that it brings in, it actually convinces our ears that we're hearing something deeper than we actually are. So it's kind of like a phantom bass situation. So the RBass, like the other Waves plugins we've seen, is pretty self-explanatory. We have the amount of the original bass, the intensity of the saturation, and then you can set the frequency knobs. So essentially what is like the home frequency of whatever you are saturating. And then you can also change the gain here. So let's hear what that sounds like when we start adding it in. So you can already hear it starting to get way more bassy. Let's adjust the frequency knob just a little bit. Cool, I'm liking how that sounds a little bit lower. I feel like it's actually opening up the sound a little bit more. Yeah. Woo! How about the before and after? But we're also adding a lot of gain, and loud just sounds better. So let's go ahead and bring down the gain until we have a pretty even volume with and without. Cool. So even though they're relatively the same volume, you can tell that with RBass, it is way thicker and bassier. Just sounds better. So RBass, j'adore. All right, at number 5, we have the PuigTec equalizer. So just like the CLA2A, this is also a piece of hardware equipment that has been softwareized, an absolute classic, really fun to put on a lot of things. Something that I end up using this EQ a lot with is my kick. So there's a classic kick mixing technique that uses this type of EQ, and it is essentially where you boost and attenuate the exact same frequency. And because of whatever the mechanics behind this thing, the boost and the attenuation are in slightly different places. And what ends up happening, still not exactly sure why, but what ends up happening is that you get this really solid thick sound coming out of the bass. So it sounds really good on kicks. So I'm gonna set the frequency to be 60 down here, 60 hertz. That is our low kind of kick frequency. And then I'm gonna both boost and attenuate right there. And let's just hear how it sounds. There's also a gain difference in this one, so I'm just gonna bring it down a couple decibels and show you that it's not just because it's getting louder that it's sounding better. Yeah, so it's much rounder and fuller down in the bass. So for the songs that need an extra oomph down in the bottom, this is the plugin for that. If you're interested in getting these plugins and you don't have them already, there are links down below in the description where you can find them and get them yourself. And full disclosure, I do get a little bit of commission from any purchase. And if you don't want anything to go to me, then just Google it in Google and you can find them and buy them there. But if you want to support the channel, you can buy them through those links. And I would not be recommending them to you if I did not think they were 100% worth the money and so worthwhile and useful. And it's probably pretty obvious by this video, but I also do mix music for people and absolutely love doing it. So if you don't like mixing music and you want someone else to do it for you, then I am your girl. Go ahead, hit me up and we can work something out. So fam, that is it. I hope that you guys have learned something in today's video and that you can use some of these techniques in your next mixing project. And I will catch you guys next time. Bye.